Welcome to today's video. Today I'm going to teach you how to bring out the best in everyone else around you. And I'm going to give you 5 tips. If you're a leader, if you're a parent, if you have a spouse or someone that you're in a relationship with, these tips are going to help you bring out the best in the people that you love. Let's dive in. Number 1, I want you to find reasons to recognize the people around you versus reasons to reprimand them. So instead of finding what's wrong, start challenging yourself to find what's right. You know, I said in the last podcast episode, the average child is reprimanded 8 times more than they're praised growing up. And so, for instance, if your, significant other doesn't do the dishes and you just want them to do the dishes, I promise you this, if you just start yelling at them, it's not going to make them want to do the dishes. But next time your significant other, next time your husband puts a dish away, say, "Oh my God, thank you." And they'll do it in a condescending way. "Oh my God, you did such a good job putting it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I worked really hard today and I appreciate you putting some of the dishes away." People want to be recognized. It is ingrained in us to want to be recognized by other people. People love words of affirmation. And positive reinforcement always does better than negative reinforcement. And it's crazy because, when I was a child, it seemed like a lot of people train their dogs with negative reinforcement. A lot of people train their children with negative reinforcement. And now psychology has shown us that positive reinforcement works better on humans and it also works better on dogs if you want them to do something that you want them to do. And so it's really important that we start tuning ourselves to find reasons to recognize people, to give them love, to give them words of affirmation. And if this isn't something that you normally do, it's going to be hard for you to find things. But just go throughout your day. I remember years ago when I was really bad at this, I was like, I'm going to try to give a compliment to as many people as I possibly can when I go out. So I'd go to Starbucks and I'd see someone, they had a nice necklace. I'd be like, "Oh my gosh, your necklace is so nice. I like that." And everyone's like, "Oh my God, thank you so much. I appreciate it." Because people just aren't used to being recognized out in public. It's usually just very cold, just conversations that we have with each other versus being like, "Oh my gosh, I really love your necklace." "Oh, thank you. Oh, your name is such a cool name. What's that mean?" Just try to figure out if you can find reasons to recognize people. If you have children, please just find reasons to recognize them. Because a lot of times I find that people try to mold their child in what they want them to be by negative reinforcement, right? So positive reinforcement always works over negative reinforcement. And it makes the person want to seek more of that positive reinforcement. So your husband's more likely to do the dish again if you recognize him for doing the dishes in a good way. So that's the first thing. Second thing, offer public recognition whenever you can. And make it natural. Don't force it. Don't seem condescending. Don't make an announcement standing on top of your child takes out the trash. Don't stand on top of the counter and be like, "Johnny took out the trash. We're so excited about it. Everybody, let's give him a round of applause." Don't make it condescending. Find a way to offer recognition. So if you're going to sit there in front of somebody, you're going to recognize somebody to their face, that's a good thing to do. But also if you can find ways to recognize when you can and make it not condescending, like I said. We, in every single all hands meeting where we have all of the people on the team come together, we ask people who has somebody that you want to recognize. And we just open it up every all hands meeting. Who has someone that you guys want to recognize? And somebody will go, "Oh, I want to recognize this person because they really stepped up and helped me with this week. I want to recognize this person because they stepped up and really helped me with this." People love being recognized for what they do and what they are. And so if you can offer more public recognition, and like for me the other day, my VP of operations, she's been absolutely crushing it. And I was like, "Hey, I just want to recognize her for this and how she's doing." And then everybody was like, "Yeah, she's doing such a great job. We love her. She's so amazing." It just makes people feel good. I don't know about you, but I just want to get better at trying to make people feel good. There's enough bad shit that's happening in the world. There's enough sad people. There's enough people that are in their own minds and, struggling with their own self-worth. Shouldn't we just try to recognize people a little bit more? So recognize them privately, but also try to recognize them publicly as well. That's the second thing. Number 3 is to start modeling the way that you want them to be the lighthouse. It's really, really odd that some people will say, "Hey, I've heard so many people be like, 'Oh yeah, my son has such a bad temper tantrum and we're trying to make him not have a bad temper tantrum.' And then one of the parents has anger problems." And I'm like, "Where do you think they're getting it from? They didn't just pick it up one day on the side of the road. They're learning it from you. And so for you to be like, I'm going to try to fix my son's anger problem, but you've got anger problems, doesn't make any sense. You need to model the way that you want them to be the lighthouse. And so, the phrase of being the lighthouse, what that basically means is that you could either be the lighthouse, and what does a lighthouse do? It safely gets ships into the harbor. Or you could be like the tugboat. The tugboat goes out of the harbor, it gets one of the boats and it pulls them and uses all of its force to get them into the harbor. Most people try to be like the tugboat. Be this way, be this way. I want you to be this way. You should be this way. You should stop doing this. They make fun of people for things that they don't want them to do. Versus a lighthouse is like, hey, I'm going to be me. I'm going to be the truest version of myself. And I'm going to model what it looks like to be happy in this world, to be healthy, to be successful, to be positive, to be a good person. If you want your children to be good people, then just be a good person, because you can tell them what you want them to do. But if you're not doing it, they're paying way more attention to what you're doing and how you're acting in the world than anything else. It's like I never really understood for a really long time the phrase of Gandhi where it says, be the change that you want to see in the world. It's like, we can all look out into the world and say, this is wrong with the world, this is wrong with the world, this is wrong with the world. And there's a ton that's wrong with the world. But if we look at it, and I've challenged myself to do this as well, when I look at something and I'm like, I want the world to be different in this way. And then I ask myself, is there any of that lives in me? Is there that thing that I want to change? Is there any of that thing that I want to change that lives within me? Damn it, every single time. I'm like, yeah, there's a little bit of that lives inside of me. Okay, well, it's really hard to change other people. Like, you want to ask yourself, how hard is it to change other people? Think about how hard it is to change yourself, right? And so you're out there and you're like, well, I want the world to change in this way. Well, then you need to change in that way. Oh, I want the world to be more accepting. Okay, how accepting are you? Is there places where maybe you should accept people where you're not accepting them for some sort of reason? I'm sure there is in some way. Hey, real quick, I want to introduce you to something called Mindset Mentor Plus. If you love this podcast, you will absolutely love what I'm about to talk about. I designed Mindset Mentor Plus to help you actively integrate every one of these episodes into your life. And here's how it works. With every episode of this podcast that comes out, Mindset Mentor Plus subscribers get more. You're going to get multiple page, detailed, printable worksheets, effectively a mini masterclass that's way more in depth than just this podcast. They also come with journaling questions, challenges, assignments, and so much more, so that you're not just listening to these podcasts passively, but you're actively integrating them into your life. That way you improve much faster. I also do monthly Q&A sessions in there and much, much more. If you want to learn more about it, go to mindsetmentor.com or click the link that's down in the description. And so you have to be the change that you want to see in other people. You have to be the change that you want to see in the world. You have to be the example that you want your children to be. Don't tell them what you want them to be. Show them what it's like to be that version of you. If you're not, your advice is just going to go in one ear and out the other. You need to be a good example of who you want other people to be in this world. If you're a parent, this is the most important thing that you can do. If you're a manager, if you have a company, if you have employees, don't tell them to do something that you're not willing to do first. Like I have a position in my company. And I won't talk about what the position is because I'll just tell you there's the lowest level of what somebody does in the company, and it wasn't going very well, and people weren't doing what at the quality of what they could. And I was like, for 2 weeks I was like, I'm just going to do this role. I'm going to do this role and show people that it's not below me. There's no such thing as below somebody else. It's like, hey, I'm going to go in and I'm going to show, hey, this is how we do it. This is how we show up. This is how we show up for ourselves. This is how we show up for the team. This is how we show up for other people. I'm going to jump in. Do I have other things that I'm busy doing? Yeah, I'm busy as hell, but I'm going to do this because it's so important that we do this the right way. And that means a lot, especially to employees, to be like, wow, the CEO of the company is going to come in and actually work with us, get his hands dirty, and actually start doing the same thing. And so it's like, I think that shows a lot. Versus being like, hey, you all need to be better. You all need to do this differently. And so I just want you guys to understand, like, it's really important for us to step up and be like, hey, I'm not above anything. Nobody's above anything. I'm going to come down there. I'm going to work with you. I'm going to do it with you. We're all going to do it together. We're all a team. That's how it should be at a job. That's how it should be at a company. That's how it should be as a family. That's how it should be all across the board. And so that's number 3, is you got to make sure that you're just willing to be the person, like to model the way that you want other people to be. Otherwise, people are not going to do it, or they're really going to resist it. Okay, that's number 3. Number 4 is to give more people autonomy. Stop micromanaging people all the time. Give people power. Let them find it. Let them rediscover. The thing that and believe me, when I had my first company back when I was 20, 21, 22, 23 years old, I micromanaged like crazy because I didn't know what I was doing. And I was micromanaging people. And when you micromanage somebody and you question them and you question them and you question them, what ends up happening? They end up questioning themselves, and then they don't have any self-worth around the position or what it is that they're doing. You have to let them find their own power and start to allow them. Now, you still train them, you still help them, you still do quality control and all of that, whatever it might be, but you've got to give people the power to do it themselves. And then they start gaining their own confidence. I know we hired somebody a few months ago, and she kept coming to one of her managers, and she kept like having her work checked. And the manager was like, hey, you don't need to come to me to get your work checked. Like, I trust that you're going to get it right. And if you don't get it right, I'll help you get better at it. And she was like, oh my God, thank you so much. She's like, my last manager never trusted me for anything. Every single thing that I did, I had to go to him first. If I were sending an email to someone outside of the company, it had to be read by him first before it was ever sent out. And so she developed this feeling of like, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm not good enough to be able to do it. And we're like, no, we're about empowering people. Let's see if we can empower you in some sort of way. So give people more autonomy. Micromanaging them enables them to always need you, whether that's an employee, whether that's your child, versus building your own confidence or building their own confidence and trusting them to do what's right. Trust that they will 100% mess up at some point in time. So give them feedback. And, give them a feedback sandwich. If you've never heard of a feedback sandwich, is you tell somebody the good, then you tell somebody the bad, and then you tell them good again. So it's like, hey, you're really doing well at this, da-da-da-da-da. One thing that I think that you could get better at is this right here, but overall, your quality of your work is getting better and better and better. And so it's like you get the feedback in there, but it's sandwiched between some good things as well. So that's the thing, like recognize what they did well, bring in what they can improve upon, and then recognize the other thing that they did well. And try to just build them up a little bit more. Don't micromanage them, give them some autonomy, let them grow into who they can be. And then number 5, which I said, in my opinion, is the absolute most important one, is don't try to change them. Try to love them for who they are. And so I want you to understand this. People already talk down to themselves enough. And I think that after talking with a lot of people who have lower self-confidence or who talk negatively about themselves, the amount that people talk down themselves is way more than the average person would understand. I think that if every person had a speaker connected to the side of their ear and it just broadcasts everything that they thought, you'd be like, oh my gosh, people are so mean to themselves. And so people are already talk down to themselves enough. If you really want to bring out the best in someone, learn to love them as they are. If you have children, stop trying to change your fucking children. I, as a coach, deal with people all the time and try to help them from when their parents didn't love and accept them and they kept trying to change them and they wanted them to do something different. They wanted them to do what they wanted them to do. So many people are like, my mom wanted me to go to this school. She wanted me to go this job. And now I feel lost. I don't know who I am. I don't want to do this, but I'm also afraid my mom's not going to love me if I switch my job. Right? So it's like, just start getting better at going, yeah, my son is into doing this. I'm going to love him for that as well. My daughter's into doing this. I'm going to love her for that as well. My employees are like this. This is how they are. My spouse is like this. I'm going to love them for who they are. And when you love someone for who they are versus reprimanding them or trying to change them all the time, a better version of them always comes out because they feel safe enough to bring their best version of themselves out, their true self out. All too often, we want people to become the best version of what we want them to be, not what they are here to do. So don't try to quote unquote fix them. It's not your job to fix other people. For your children, they're not here for them to be what you want them to be. Your spouse is not here to be what you want them to be. Ultimately, what we need to be is if we truly actually love somebody, if we truly love our spouse, if we truly love our children, if we truly love our employees, we should want them to be what they want to be, not to say, hey, you have to fit into this mold. And if you don't, then I won't accept you. If you don't, then I won't love you. It's like, no, if you truly love somebody, you want them to be who they truly are. Not try to change them and mold them and all of that stuff. No, I want you to be who you truly are. And no matter who you truly are, I'm going to love and I'm going to accept you no matter what. And so I want you to understand the key to relationships and the key to helping people is to just try to bring out the best in them all the time. Stop trying to fix them. Stop reprimanding them. Start recognizing them. Try to model the type of person that they should be and the type of person that you want them to be, and be the type of person. And then give them more autonomy. They're here to do whatever it is that they're supposed to do on this planet and what they and their soul has been designed to do for this planet, not what you want them to be. So try to bring out the best in people. If you're a leader, if you're a parent, if you have a significant other, if you operate in this world too, around other people, it is very, very important for you to try to bring out the best in everyone else around you. So that's what I got for you for today's episode. If you love this episode, please do me a favor. Give us a rating and review however you listen to us. Go ahead and share it on your Instagram stories. Tag me at Rob Dial Jr., ROBDIALJR. And I'm going to leave you the same way I leave you every single episode. Make it your mission to make somebody else's day better. I appreciate you, and I hope that you have an amazing day.